Hi everyone, happy new week. We are in a good mood, I'm assuming, this week after Celtic's really easy victory over Livingston yesterday. Surprisingly easy victory over Livingston. On today's video, we're going to take a look at where that result leaves Celtic, what's to come for the Hoops. Wee spoiler, not as many football matches, that's what's to come for the Hoops. And we're going to bring in your comments from yesterday and just have a chat about what's going on basically. John and Stevie were on reaction duty yesterday. I thought they did a fine job considering they were missing the main man on the channel. But David should be back on the channel later this week. I was at the game yesterday and I actually agreed with a lot of what John and Stevie had to say, both in terms of the match yesterday itself and also where Celtic are overall. I thought yesterday was a really good performance from Celtic. We've been struggling in recent weeks performance-wise, not really results-wise, apart from the European stuff and obviously Easter Road. But I thought yesterday we got the performance and we got the result as well. And if we're being honest, we should certainly have won by more than 2 goals. But the intensity the players played with was back. That was the stuff we'd been lacking, I think, probably since Fir Park and since the derby. That was back yesterday. It's hard to actually pick out the top performers because I thought consistently, throughout the team we had players who were playing really well yesterday. If you forced me to, I would probably pick out the 2 wingers, Jota and James Forrest, as being our real outstanding players. I just thought Jota was a menace in the first half. I thought, throughout the game to be honest, but especially the first half, I thought James Forrest was really good, especially in the second half, got his goal as well. I think it just proves how quickly things can change in sport and in supporting Celtic. 2 players who have not been performing too well recently, and certainly fair to say in James Forrest's case, had a lot of people calling him out, saying he was finished and all of that stuff. Not me, of course, and I was delighted to see James Forrest prove people wrong yesterday. As much as I didn't get too down on him, and too negative on him when he was struggling in recent weeks and months, I'm not getting too ahead of myself here either. It was one game, he has to build on that now, but I thought there were some really promising signs yesterday. And if Celtic have a fully firing James Forrest back in the team for this title run in, it is going to be like I really hate that phrase, so I don't know why I use it all the time. Another player I want to pick out just from yesterday that probably has gone under the radar a little bit is Anthony Ralston. I thought he was excellent yesterday. And as good as Josip Juranovic is, I think Ange's call to put Ralston in at right back and Greg Taylor in at left back was vindicated yesterday, because I thought Ralston was brilliant. Just real energy and real drive, but I almost think it's doing him a disservice when you mention kind of physical attributes and mental attributes like that. He's a really good player as well, and he got another assist yesterday, didn't he, for that own goal. So great stuff from Anthony Ralston. And once again, going to Tannadice next week, can you take Ralston out the team when he performed like that? It's options, and that's exactly what we want. Another star player yesterday I thought was the Celtic support. Just made noise. Every part of that ground was bouncing yesterday. It really was like a home game. When you see us playing like we did yesterday and you hear 3/4 of that stadium rocking in support of Celtic like it was yesterday, you kind of question why we've had such a dodgy, poor record there over the last 4 or 5 seasons. Yesterday was exactly the way Celtic should approach games like that. Real intensity on the pitch, real intensity off the pitch as well. Hopefully that victory yesterday will now allow us to treat that ground like we do basically every other ground in the country and just win there more regularly. Possibly even later this season when we may be asked to go back there for a 3rd time. But more on that later in this video. Now we're going to move on to questions or comments more so. Topic Talker is up first. Good 3 points yesterday. The team were fantastic. Physically bullied Livi, particularly in midfield where we have struggled before. So many standouts for me. CS, assuming that's Starfelt, was absolutely tremendous. He was up to the challenge and proved he can be a player for Celtic. Looking forward to the Dundee United game. Take it one game at a time and let's just stay calm. I thought Carl Starfelt was excellent again yesterday. He has turned into a really accomplished defender for Celtic. He still has his moments from time to time, and there was even, I think, one early on in the game yesterday. But overall, he is coming on, every game. You can see him improving, and I'm really pleased where he's at the moment. I also couldn't help but notice that he nearly got his first Celtic goal yesterday. Obviously the one the keeper made a great save and Maida kind of headed in the rebound. Remember, he's getting his first goal when we get to 27,000 subs. We're about 500 away from that now, so if you want to speed that up, just give us a sub. But Starfelt is clearly warming up for that big goal that's probably going to come against Rangers at this rate. Next up, MYTMT. Not sure why Hamish and a lot of other fans were worried about this game. The record was poor for sure, but this is a new team who I thought would have no fear going there. Same for our manager, and they proved it. 3 points in the bag, on to the next game. God, you lot are hard work sometimes. I'm now getting pelters for being worried about Celtic going to a ground that would not won at in 5 attempts. Lost a couple in there as well. I'm sure MYTMT was in no doubt at all that Celtic were going to get that result. Tough work, you lot. Statement ends there. Let's move on. Paul Bryson, one game at a time, John. Completely agree. You tell him, Paul. I did watch the reaction yesterday, and at the start of the reaction, I was kind of, good result today. By the end, John had me, purchasing Celtic 2021-22 winners mugs. He was that confident, and it's pretty easy to see why John is feeling good. We are in a very strong position at the moment. I don't think any people would argue with that. The big thing for me that John mentioned is that we've not got European football to contend with anymore, while Rangers have at least 2, let's face it, probably at least 4 European matches to come. That can only be good news for us. I would have loved a run in the Conference League. I would have, so many of you would have as well. But right now, I'm kind of okay with Celtic having their Thursday nights. I think someone in the comment mentioned Rangers are going to be playing Thursday night games while all our players are wrapped up in bed with a bucket of popcorn and hot chocolate. And I quite like that idea. I don't think many Celtic players will be having popcorn on a Thursday night watching the Europa League, for example. But it's nice knowing that we'll have a lot of midweeks off, and we can put all our focus in on the weekend while Rangers are going to have distractions going on. That's not a bad place to be in at all, as much as a European run would have been nice. But just to get the channel's motto out there again, it's one game at a time at this stage in the season. Well, one league game at a time anyway. This is how the Premiership table looks after match day 30. 8 games to go. We're topped by 3 points. Our goal difference is 11 better now than Rangers. I'm hesitant to say that that's like an extra point already, because we know how quickly goal difference can kind of swing back. That could be wiped out in 3 or 4 weeks, but I would much rather be 11 goals ahead than 11 goals behind. And if we can keep this up, it certainly could prove to be a big factor at the end of the season. As John correctly said yesterday, 5 of our final 8 league matches will be at Celtic Park, whereas Rangers will only have 3 of their final 8 at Ibrox. Our next league game sees Ross County visit. They're the 3rd best team in the country over the last 20 league games. They're now into the top 6, as you see there. So that could be a right tough game. Incidentally, today Celtic announced that the game against Ross County has already sold out, just less than 2 weeks in advance. I think it's fair to say that all 5 of our league games at Celtic Park left this season will all sell out now. The next 2 against Ross County and St Johnstone are both Saturday 3 p.m. games, so really hope to see Celtic Park as full as possible for these matches. There's really no excuse for there not being 57 or 58,000, if not more, at those games. We're really into the kind of key point in the season, the home straight, if you will, and I feel like Celtic are on the verge of something pretty special here. Now, I know this may be a little premature given that there's still 3 games to go, but I did have a few, I want to say Aussies, I'm going to assume Aussies, on Twitter asking me about this split. Now, a lot of you watching this, again, I'm going to presume Aussies, maybe new to Celtic, new to Scottish football. So as much as we're still a few weeks ahead, I thought I'll briefly explain what the split is and how it could work this year. So the whole Premiership season is 38 games. Each side plays every other side 3 times, which makes 33 games. And at that stage, the league splits into 2 separate leagues of 6. So you've got a top half and a bottom half, and you play each other team in your own half one more time. That's 5 matches. Add it to the 33, gives you your grand total of 38. The league tries to ensure that if you play a team 4 times, that 2 of those meetings are at home and 2 are away, but this isn't always possible. One of Celtic's post-split fixtures this year will be Rangers at home. That is pretty much certain, but the rest are up in the air. Hearts are the only other club that are guaranteed a top 6 finish so far. We'd be due to have them at Celtic Park too, but we could end up being sent to Tynecastle for a 3rd time. That's because the likes of Hibs and Livingston, who are also currently in the top 6 at the moment, are also due to come to Celtic Park. So the way things stand at the moment, we'd be guaranteed 4 home games post-split as well as away to Ross County, but that's not going to happen. So the likelihood is that we'll be asked to go to a venue for a 3rd time, but it won't be Ibrox. That's the main thing. So it could be a confusing time for the league's organisers. The split certainly has its detractors, it's fair to say. It can be pretty untidy. The team in 7th place quite often finishes on more points than the team in 6th place, which is bizarre, even though they still finished 7th. This last happened in 2019 with St Johnstone and Hearts, but I like it in general. It ensures that the top teams are playing the other top teams, and likewise at the bottom, the teams scrapping out for relegation are playing fellow relegation scrappers. But we've got 3 games to go before we can get properly into that, and as always on this channel, we're just taking it 1 game at a time. Well done. Let's move on and chat about a bit of a debate that John has stirred up on our Twitter page. He singled out Cameron Carter-Vickers as the outstanding candidate for Celtic's Player of the Year award in an article on 67hailhail.com last night. It's difficult to argue too much either, given that maybe the real outstanding candidates, Kyogo and Jota, have had injuries this season. Certainly missed good chunks of the season in Kyogo's case. But there have been shouts for the likes of Kyogo, Joe Hart, Callum McGregor, and even Anthony Ralston from you lot on Twitter. And voting for this stuff isn't going to be far away. They don't really do this at the end of the season. They do it kind of usually in a couple of weeks because they need to get things in order. So it's going to be interesting to see who candidates are for stuff like the PFA Player of the Year. I think they usually nominate 4 for the whole country. So how many of those will be Celtic? I'd say at least 2 should be, given how good we've been this season. Now, we've actually got an interesting week ahead, both on the channel and as Celtic fans, because we've got no matches this week. Celtic's next match is a week tonight when we take on Dundee United in the Scottish Cup. We are working on a few things on the channel to try and keep this week as interesting and as varied as we can. We'll have a live show later in the week, an interesting video coming out on Wednesday as well. Scott McDonald should be in the channel on Thursday, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of news to get our teeth stuck into as well. And as I say, it's only a week to wait until Celtic are back in action in the Scottish Cup against Dundee United. Obviously, as that game approaches, I think we're going to be getting right into it and really hoping we can win that and get back to Hampden. But right now, I think I'm just so focused in the league that game, I'm a wee bit kind of like, yeah, what happens, happens. The league is the real priority here. Now, before I go, I just want to give a wee shout out to a couple of guys that I met on Saturday night. Richie and Joe, who I met in my, let's say, weekly visit to KFC in the small hours of Sunday morning. Top guys, I know they'll be watching, so I appreciate the support from you guys and from everyone else watching. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back tomorrow. Take care and hail hail.